We ready? Hope that's not on the live stream. Doom, 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 doom. There we go. Okay. Hope you guys didn't catch my antics there, but a happy Friday to you. And the time now is 7:06. Just making sure I've got everything caught up on my live stream. Yep, there we go. We're streaming live on the 10 News app, on Facebook, on YouTube, many different platforms that you guys can catch us. So appreciate you tuning in on this Friday morning as we continue to keep track of the winter storm that's coming in for tomorrow. We have new alerts from the National Weather Service. I'm going to try my best to draw some distinctions between maybe some of the expectation and what we're really expecting. And then we're going to walk through the timing, the totals, everything like that we usually would in a situation like this one. Douglas, good morning in Roanoke, and a happy Friday to you. I will say 7:26, we have a live update on the Today Show, so we're going to keep this stream to about 15 minutes, but nonetheless, appreciate you guys spending part of your Friday morning with us. Here's some of the latest alerts. Let's get to them in the pink. That is your winter storm warning. So, Lynette, good morning to you. Winter storm warning is in effect for Carroll, Floyd, Franklin, Patrick, Bedford, Amherst, Rockbridge, Botetourt, and Roanoke counties. This is going to be pretty much all day tomorrow. This is where we expect maybe some of the most ice accumulation. And then as we take that away, we'll plot the purple. That's your winter weather advisory. That's for the New River Valley, the Highlands, Lynchburg, and South Side. So this is where your ice accumulations more or less will be about a glaze to perhaps 1/10 of an inch prior to cold rain. And in the Highlands, areas especially near and to the north of Interstate 64, that's where we expect most snow to accumulate. Jasmine, who is our digital producer, is commenting with some helpful links for you guys in case you have to dip out at any point in time during this live stream. One of the things I want to do before we get to the timing of all of this is, again, just kind of set some expectations for you here. We're going to show you what this is versus what this isn't, at least from an expectation standpoint. So the left-hand side is what we believe this is going to be. Impactful, yes. Wintry mess, yes. And keeping you inside for most of Saturday, I also think that's the case. If you have anywhere to be tomorrow morning, if you can stay off the roads, I think that's going to be your best bet. What this isn't is what's on the right-hand side of that graphic. This is not going to be a crippling snowstorm that leaves you inside for days at a time. Just want to draw that distinction. It is still absolutely worth the attention that we're giving it, but I don't want you guys thinking that you're just going to be stuck for days at a time. So I hope that helps you guys out. Keep checking back as we go through the next 24 hours or so. Reminder that we're actually going to start Virginia today an hour earlier tomorrow. Usually on the weekends, that newscast goes from 6 to 8. Tomorrow, we're going to go from 5 through at least 8 a.m. with coverage on air. So the reason for that is the early arrival of this. Mostly after 3 or 4 a.m. is when we're going to see this get to the North Carolina-Virginia border. Most of your snow near and to the north of Interstate 64. Ice is going to be south of that. We're breezy with mountain snow on Sunday, especially those western slopes. So tonight we're fine. Tomorrow morning, this is 1 o'clock, so overnight, while most of us are asleep, we're going to be in good shape. But let's kind of fast forward here toward roughly 4 a.m. and you see most of the pink there. That's the indication of freezing rain, maybe some sleet mixing in as well. And then as we get closer to 7 a.m., you see again a lot of that pink right there. There may be a few dry spots in the New River Valley, but for the most part, there's your pink, that freezing rain. So tomorrow morning, things are going to be very slick out there. And there's your blue, again, mostly near and to the north of Interstate 64, kind of a combination of sleet and snow by 7 a.m. Fast forward to about 10 a.m., and you still see pockets of freezing rain in the pink. But what you'll start to notice, Grayson County, Wythe County, and South Side, is that temperatures will start to get to about 33 or so. So you'll get that cold rain that we've been talking about, right? This is not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing, but still some ice toward Lynchburg, areas north of that, the Highlands dealing with some ice and snow at that point in time. Let's go toward 1 p.m. and you see still some pockets of freezing rain, but some rain as well farther to the south. yet again near into the north of Interstate 64 is where we're expecting most of the snow and the sleet to accumulate. And then let me take you toward 4 p.m. Pretty much all of the area is dry. Could you see some drizzle still? Absolutely, but most of the area is going to be void of any kind of widespread precipitation at that point. J.M. Parker, so no snow in Roanoke, just ice. I would say mainly ice. You might see a brief period of snow before sunrise, but most of what you see is going to be ice. So good question there. I know this can kind of be a confusing forecast just because of the different types of precipitation. But yes, for the Roanoke Valley, it looks like mostly ice. In fact, you kind of read my mind because that's the next map that we're going to show. And I understand that part of it is cut off there. So I'll use this arrow to kind of point you guys in the right direction. So the pink, that's your freezing rain accumulation of 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch there. And so that's going to be, I may actually bring this a little bit farther to the south. So areas like Christiansburg toward Floyd, Carroll County, Rocky Mount, Franklin County, Roanoke County, all those areas in the pink is where you could see freezing rain of 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch. 1/4 of an inch is when you may start to see some power outages. Don't think that you're going to necessarily see widespread outages, but something to prepare for at least tomorrow morning. James, Covington, I do think you get a little bit of both, and I'm going to walk you through that as well. So Covington, there you see, is in the blue, anywhere from about a glaze to as much as 1/10 of an inch. So I don't necessarily think you see widespread outages in Covington and Allegheny County. And I'll show you the snow map coming up here in just a little bit. Melissa, I'm with you. I would much rather be forecasting just straight up snow. This wintry mess is kind of annoying, which is why I tried to compare it to donuts. I think everybody likes donuts, right? So freezing rain is the stuff that clings onto power lines. It's kind of like a glazed donut. I know this is silly, but it kind of helps me, so it might help you guys too. Whereas sleet pings like rainbow sprinkles. It just kind of bounces off of everything. So you're not going to get power outages with sleet, but with freezing rain, it's a possibility, especially once you get to that 1/4 of an inch threshold, because at that point, it's about the equivalent of 500 pounds on a power line. So that's the point when we really start to monitor that. Anything other than a glaze or 1/10 of an inch is going to make the roads icy. So again, if you can tomorrow morning, I would avoid that. Mark, appreciate that. Sometimes I think those analogies are silly, but I hope it does help. And again, everybody likes donuts, so might as well. So appreciate that. Now, as far as the snow and sleet combination, I am leaning toward the lower end in the blue, just because, you know, you're going to be dealing with freezing rain and sleet, and that tends to cut into snow totals. So for the New River Valley, especially Roanoke, Salem, areas like Boone's Mill, Daleville, leaning toward about coating. Tuesday storm, too far out to estimate. Yeah, and you know, kind of to answer that question is kind of trying to take things one storm at a time, because if we start to talk about multiple, it's going to add some confusion. It may start out as a brief wintry mix in the morning, but the big thing with that one is going to be heavy rain. There's estimates of like 2 inches of rain or more. So that's what we're going to watch for Tuesday, but know that, no pun intended, that's on our radar. So great question there. I appreciate you guys chiming in here. Amber, Buena Vista may see a brief period of snow. And I don't want to give the impression that only a wintry mix, and I know you're not downplaying it, but I'm just kind of thinking out loud here, is that it's not only a wintry mix. It's going to be messy. You know, snow is so much easier to remove, whereas, you know, ice and things, it's a little tougher. So, but again, I know you're not downplaying. I'm not like trying to come after you or anything, but just wanted to put that out there. As always, we're updating this forecast on the app on WSLS.com, and I will throw a word of caution out there, just because I know my friends, some of my relatives, and people I've gone on dates with in the past, they're just like, oh, you know, I use the iPhone weather app, and for a sunny day, that's fine, but on storms like this, human input is usually better. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm perfect, because we all know that's not true, but it at least is a little more helpful to you guys. So if you don't have our app now, I would suggest that you get it, because we send you customized updates We don't spam the heck out of you, but that's at least something to consider, especially ahead of this storm. Now, to answer J.M. Parker, we're talking a little bit more about what's going forward. Douglas, have a great Friday, and thank you for always chiming in and tuning in. Sunday, we'll see some wind and most any snow on our western slopes, that being western Grayson, western Wythe, Bland, parts of Giles County, western Greenbrier, Pocahontas, Highland counties. That's where you're going to see some leftover snow Sunday. We've seen that a lot already this winter, so that's nothing earth-shattering. As far as Tuesday is concerned, again, you look at the potential for a brief wintry mix. There's no sense in getting into details right now because that's 4 to 5 days away and we have Saturday to get through. But just know that we're looking at the potential for some heavy rain next Tuesday. Again, some forecast data indicating that we could see anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of rain with that. But that's just a very preliminary estimate. Once again, Jasmine coming in clutch. She is our digital producer who is always on top of things on this live stream. She provided a link for you guys to download our weather app if you've yet to do so. Time now 7:16, and I've got about 5 minutes here. So for those of you just joining in, number one, thank you. And number two, I'm going to walk you through some of the things that you may have missed regarding tomorrow. And I'm going to start you with the latest alerts from the National Weather Service. These came in at about 4:30 this morning. So just to kind of walk you through the usual process, they issued a winter storm watch yesterday, the watch meaning possible, the warning meaning likely. So now we've got that winter storm warning for areas in the pink. This is your Carroll, Floyd, Patrick, Franklin, Amherst, Bedford, Rockbridge, Botetourt, and Roanoke counties. This is where you expect most of the ice accumulation to happen tomorrow morning. We'll kind of take that away and show you the purple. This is a winter weather advisory. This is not to diminish the threat, but this is where you see lower ice totals, about 1/10 of an inch or less. And then especially as you go toward Covington, Clifton Forge, Callahan, Hot Springs, Highland County should be in a winter weather advisory. It's not yet, but this is where you stand the better chance of snow accumulation. And for those of you just joining, I've kind of been making these graphics to set some expectations here because information's all over the place nowadays, and it can get really confusing to those of you who maybe don't follow this religiously like I do. Here's what we expect this storm to be. We expect it to be impactful. We expect it to be messy tomorrow morning. And we expect tomorrow to be a kind of day where you stay in for most of the day if you can. Here's what it is not. This is not a crippling snowstorm that's going to paralyze us and keep you stuck inside for days at a time. So I just kind of want to draw that distinction because oftentimes I get it. We're accused of hyping things up and everything. This is worth the hype of an impactful, messy storm, but it's not worth the hype of a crippling storm that's going to leave you inside for days at a time. I hope that helps. If that comparison doesn't help, let me know, because we're always striving to get better at communicating these things because they can be tricky. So here we are, 1 o'clock tomorrow morning, so overnight while most of us are asleep and we're cloudy and we're dry. Let's go toward about 4 or 5 a.m. here. And you see that wintry mix is in the pink, right? So this is mostly freezing rain, but you could have some sleet in there as well. There will at times be dry pockets in parts of the New River Valley. When you get a southeast wind that comes over the mountains, it can sometimes dry things out a little bit. So I'm looking at you guys in Wythe, Pulaski, Bland, maybe, pardon me, Giles counties. And then by 7 a.m., still that mixed bag that we always talk about, snow near north of Interstate 64. By 10 a.m., we start to bring in some cold rain into this thing, especially farther south and farther west. But still at that time, there's going to be plenty of mixing going on in parts of the New River Valley, parts of the Roanoke Valley, parts of the Lynchburg area, parts of the Highlands. And then by 1 p.m., you still see rain south, snow north. 4 p.m., this is out of here. And so really, if I were to take this a little bit slower, by 2 p.m., you're good in the NRV. By 3 p.m., you're done in the Roanoke Valley. And by 4 p.m., you're done in Lynchburg and in Southside. And that's really been the estimation pretty much all along. So real quick, I'm going to do this in about a minute or two. Here's our ice map. You see 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch in the pink. So this is where we expect the highest of the impacts with this storm. Scattered power outages and definitely icy roads. In the blue, that's where you get anywhere from a glaze to 1/10 prior to some cold rain coming in. And for the snow and sleet map, I'm leaning more toward the coating in the blue for the New River Valley and the Roanoke Valley, just because you're going to see more mixing than anything else. In the white, near and to the north of Interstate 64, that's where you see 1 to 3 inches, isolated higher totals, especially because Sunday, western slopes are going to pick up on some additional snow. So again, a lot to unpack here. Really appreciate you guys spending time with us. We've got more than 230 people on here. So appreciate you guys doing your part to stay weather aware and asking your questions and leaving your comments and things like that. But the time is 7:21. Live updates at 7:26. They start every half hour in the Today Show. We're going to begin our newscast tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, an hour earlier at 5 a.m. To keep you guys ahead of this as it comes in pretty early in the morning. But have a great Friday. It's cold out there this morning. Bundle up. We're in the teens and 20s. And stay safe tomorrow. We'll be with you every step of the way. So have a great Friday, an even better weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.